Life is to figure out why you are here and what all this is for. I want most of all to know that answer. It could have been that I'm just the result of billions of years of evolution and there is no particular reason for any of this. I'm just here and it's all up to me to give it purpose and meaning. And if that were it, that would be okay. But because so many things did not fit that scenario, I determined that that was not the case. There were too many contradictions, and for whatever reason, contradictions are totally unacceptable to me. And so began my quest to see the real reason behind it all. That turned out to be the best decision I've ever made because life became the most interesting adventure I could have imagined. There are enough clues around to eliminate the feeling of futility and give you a great sense of progress, but at the same time it's challenging enough to absorb every ounce of intellectual ability and resourcefulness that you've got. It constantly challenges you to get better and better all the time. That is the same formula for a good video game, and I absolutely love the concept and possibilities they offer. But I find myself losing interest in every single one of them for the simple reason that the real-life game is so much deeper and richer than any of them. Which is a shame, because you would think without the limitations of real life, a video game would potentially offer limitless possibilities and, as a bonus, flow at whatever speed you liked rather than these fixed 24-hour days. But I digress. Back in the world of real life, a fascinating development happened. At some point I realized that the rules here limited some really good possibilities. They are pretty inflexible, and whenever I bumped into them it was painful, and that understates the matter by a lot. I got pretty depressed about them and how bad they hurt, and it got to the point where I didn't want to play anymore. The rules were too contradictory and painful. When I was just at the point of pressing exit game, I made an amazing discovery. Those silly rules that had caused me so much trouble were totally and completely arbitrary. They weren't real rules programmed into code running the game, they were made up by some of the other players. Those bastards. That was a huge relief to me because, as I said earlier, I can't stand contradictions. There are still a few inflexible rules in the game, but the most troubling ones I can safely ignore, and the game was fun once again. But the very best thing I figured out was that there was a whole additional level to the game. And it has none of those annoying limitations of this one. There are some players here that told me of similar, new levels, but there were so many of those contradictions in their descriptions of it that I'd rather play this level than what they were telling me about. It made me really glad I had decided to figure it out for myself instead of joining up with one of the groups that talk about a better level. Sorry, I got carried away. You wanted a one-line answer, not some boring, story of my life, thing. I think Quora has one of those arbitrary rules against one-line answers though, so I had to put in this filler to get past it. I choose love. I am a strong believer in the fact that every action by any human being is ultimately motivated by love. Sometimes this is very misunderstood self-love, that then shows itself in a protective way, but nevertheless, the original intention is to bring something good to someone that person cares about, and they believe whatever they do to be the best possible way to achieve that. So I choose to see love when looking at any action that I don't approve of or agree with. I choose to try and understand their motivation rather than condemn what it results in. If said action crosses a line, however, I choose to communicate that very clearly, out of love for myself, and act accordingly, too. That can also mean setting boundaries and enforcing them, and cutting people out of my life. I choose to love myself enough to trust my choices of how I want to live, and I also choose to love whomever that causes a conflict with enough to be honest with them. Also, on a more ideological level, when in doubt about what to believe in, I choose love. Any kind of love, even if I don't personally understand it. This applies to things like supporting gay marriage, without being personally affected. I choose to love people who don't seem to deserve it, although I don't generally believe that any one person deserves to be loved more or less than any other, and I choose to show and communicate love to those in my life who are really close to me, especially at times when I don't feel like it. Love comes in many different forms, some of them are really well hidden under all kinds of bowls ***T. I choose to look for it in unlikely places. Since I've chosen to choose love, my life has actually been pretty damn amazing. So, yeah, that's what I'll continue to choose.